Hello everyone, welcome back to your weekly quantum teaching. If you're new here, every week we talk about different aspects of quantum mechanics and quantum theory in relation to the logical aspect of what we know it to be through science and how we can bridge that with the experiences that we have as souls, right, in the spiritual journey and with all of the knowledge that has been acquired by scientists about the spiritual realm, including the universe, the star system, planetary alignments, and basically time travel, etc. So if you want to watch more of these videos, definitely check them out. I have other 15 minutes because that's the max amount of time since I also upload them on Instagram. So check it out on Instagram through School of the Ascending, or if you're finding this video on YouTube as well. And of course, like always, if a topic particularly interests you, please take the time to do further research. This is only a brief touch. I'm obviously not a scientist. I only have 10 plus years in healthcare. I no longer work in healthcare, and now I'm doing this. So this is definitely something that I've been guided to teach on since the start of 2024. And these videos are both a mix of channeling, but also a little bit research as we start to get into some of the nitty gritty of some of these topics. So, you know, every week we talk about different aspects and different laws of quantum theory and quantum mechanics. But this week we're going to specifically touch on quantum mechanics and have more a discussion on this understanding before we dive into next week's topic about the wave-particle duality and how that relates to duality in the Earth experience. So quantum mechanics is basically a definition or measurement of how both particles can behave here and there and also exist in the sense that they are in movement through waves. So the specific definition I have here is small objects have the characteristics of both particles, tiny pieces of matter, and waves, a disturbance of variation that transfers energy. Physicists call this the wave-particle duality, which is again what we're going to talk about next week. But I have several points here that I wanted to touch on that I found to be very interesting. So it is said that quantum mechanics is actually contributing to not only some of the technology we know today, for example, the fact that we have phones. We would not have phones without quantum mechanics, quantum theory, quantum physics. We would not have some of these other electron-based sort of machines, MRIs, a lot of the machines that are used, CT scans in hospitals, but also this whole aspect of quantum mechanics, taking it from the very 3D aspect of like some of these technological advancements that we've been able to use through quantum theory is also in relation to the bigger picture here with quantum theory and the Big Bang Theory, right? And the creation of the universe and what we know with our star systems. But quantum mechanics is kind of controversial and a little bit difficult to understand in terms of all the scientific aspects one can learn about, particularly because it is hard to see and hard to feel, right? It's one of those things that both allows us to connect with aspects of the Earth experience through 3D objects that have been created, again, like I mentioned, through technology, but also the understanding that it contributes to some of these larger aspects of creation that still have mystery attached to it, that have not been able to have a definite measurement in terms of the difference between light is what I'm hearing and material, the particles, okay, photons, atomic and subatomic level. And so the premise of quantum mechanics invites us to understand that particles are neither here or there, right? Or they can be here and there at once. And so I want to provide an example that I'm being reminded of. I was reminded of as I was kind of making my notes here about something that I learned. I forget where I learned this, but I think it was in one of my science classes in middle school. But I've actually used this recently as an example to someone to basically talk about how our eyes perceive things differently, which is true, right? Quantum mechanics in essence has a sort of unique aspect to the way that our eyes perceive color and the universe, the world around us. It is said that our eyes actually take the world that we see in front of us and flip it so that we see it in the correct way. But apparently the way that our outside world is displayed is actually upside down, which makes no sense because, like, again, quantum theory, quantum mechanics, hard to feel, hard to see, hard to understand. Like, how is it possible that things can be upside down? You're telling me that when we are building chairs, we're actually building them upside down, but like our eyes are perceiving them up, but yet in the physical where we can sit on that chair, so it doesn't make sense. Well, I don't want to get too deep into that because I'm not quite sure, but I know that this is something that has come through within quantum theory, is that our eyes filter a certain way, just like our eyes filter color a certain way, right? One of the primary examples is a light bulb. Okay, so everyone has a light bulb in their house, right? And the nice interesting thing about light bulbs, sorry, that looks like a football, but the nice thing about light bulbs is that, you know, it brings us light, right? It provides the light for us to have in our household, for us to be able to see. We no longer need to use candles. All of our light bulbs, right? Everything that we have that's on as far as light goes in our apartment, in our homes, is actually flickering. And you might be wondering, like, how can that be? How can it be that a light bulb that we've turned on is flickering because I'm not seeing it that way? You're not seeing it that way, right? Well, the timing to which our lights in our homes, in public spaces, anywhere in the world where a light is being used and it is on, is flickering so fast that our eyes do not catch that flicker. So we see it still. So this would be an example of how quantum mechanics plays out in energy in this way, through electricity, through the material world, through our human vessel, where particles can be still. We are seeing a light still. We are not seeing it flickering where we feel like we have to go replace the light bulb. But again, quantum mechanics, quantum theory states that particles are neither here or there. They can be both particles on the subatomic and atomic level, but also hold consistency with waves. Okay, this is the duality of both. One of the ways that you can actually test this is when you have your laptop open, or your, it doesn't work through the TV. It might for some of you guys, but your laptop, for example, your computer. If you take your phone camera and you put it in front of your laptop or your computer and it's on, you will notice, and some of you guys already know this, the light in your computer, in your laptop, flickering. Your phone camera, doesn't matter how advanced your phone is. I've got an iPhone 13 whatever right now, Pro or whatever. It's not the newest one, but it's still a decent phone. And my phone's camera shows the light, just like the light bulbs in our home, from my computer and from my laptop flickering. How is that possible? So the camera lens is picking up an aspect of quantum theory here. It's picking up the fact that the particles, the wave particles, the energy that creates and powers your computer and the light of your computer, although is still to your human eye, is actually in reality moving at a rate to which the eye does not pick it up. And that's why the cameras on our phone does. And it's a very interesting concept. It's very kind of like twisted in a way. So quantum theory, well, really quantum mechanics, because theory is what we've been talking about in all the previous videos. Quantum mechanics in its essence is both a particle that changes states and can become some sort of wave, right? There's movement that is involved. And so what we start to understand here is more of the esoteric spiritual aspect of that, where particles can be neither here or there. Cats, for example, I mentioned animals in our last week's video. Cats are able to perceive things in their current space and time in their environment, but also see beyond the veil. They're able to astral project and see into different spaces and places in a way that they are awake, but they're able to almost transfer their consciousness and experience dimensionally in different places, right? And so this is an aspect of quantum mechanics. When you guys hear quantum mechanics, I want you to remember neither here nor there. And this is exactly why it's such a complicated concept and very difficult to understand for a lot of physicists. You know, mathematics aside, equations aside, it's difficult to measure a lot of aspects of quantum mechanics because there really is no such measurement that can go beyond light, right? Or a light year. The reason why this is important to understand in relation to spirituality, and I wanted to explain the basis of the scientific aspect for the last 10 minutes so you guys have an understanding of its relation in our 3D experience. We are neither here nor there. Our consciousness is constantly perceiving at a rate where we are thinking in the past, we are thinking in the present, we are thinking of the future. It's a constant thing, and sometimes it's hard because quantum mechanics doesn't always root to the present moment. It is the study of something that is, again, here but also there. And so that's almost like how our consciousness has developed, especially in this day and age where we are influenced by different things like technology, for example, our phones. Sometimes it's hard to be grounded and be in the present moment, but quantum mechanics invites that element to remember that we are constantly in motion. Our consciousness is constantly thinking of different things. When we are asleep, our consciousness is astral traveling. We are astral projecting into another space and time. Again, this has been proven by science. So quantum mechanics mechanics is proving that even though our soul is locked into this human body and we are in our human bodies, at the same time, we are sort of perceiving in different timelines. We are sort of astral traveling. Our consciousness is literally traveling in different dimensional spheres. This is something that has not been able to be measured to the fullest extent. It's unquantifiable is what I'm hearing. Something like this is unquantifiable and may begin to, I'm hearing a very specific, may continue to pursue a mystery in our experience where, maybe there will never be an answer to understand how to measure something like that, the traveling of our consciousness. It's not just about the 3D world of being go, 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 waking up and going to work. That's not what I'm talking about in terms of quantum mechanics. What I'm talking about here is that not only are there objects in our 3D world that are still to our human eyes and yet based on what we perceive, and yet in reality they're flickering like a light bulb unbeknownst to us. At the same time, our consciousness sort of plays that similar role where we are really at any given moment living past, present, future all at once, right? And really until you're busy and you're occupied with something is when you're in the present moment, and that's really what grounds you. Again, something that can't be measured, right? Time, moments, past, present, future, those things are very difficult to measure, but it's really the aspect of experience that I feel comes along with the ride for quantum theory and quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics, quantum theory, these are aspects of creation, of science that link to creation that again is unquantifiable and invites us to really evaluate how we don't need to always have a label for things and we don't need to always have a definite answer. And I appreciate, because I worked in healthcare for so long, the science aspect and bridging that for everyone, even myself, to have that understanding and awareness. There's a connection to everything here, and quantum mechanics invites us to embrace the mystery and recognize that we are here and there all together at once. So maybe this sounds a little bit woo-woo. I hope it made sense. I hope it resonates. Comments will still be off because I want to make sure that I monitor any bots or trolls on the page. This is simply a teaching and it is channeled, and if it resonated, please share with someone that you know. Again, I'm not a scientist. I'm only guided to share what I know, and if it invites you to have a curious mind and do further research on either the spirituality side or the scientific side, then I've done my job. Thank you so much, everyone, and until next week, go and grow.